the book of Ezekiel, chapter 25, start at verse 12, and it reads, Ezekiel 25 and 12, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai power, because that Edom hath dealt against the house of Judah by taking vengeance and hath greatly offended and revenged himself upon them. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, I will also stretch out my hand upon Edom, and will cut off man and beast from it, and I will make it desolate from Teman, and they of Dedan shall fall by the sword. Verse 14, and I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel, and they shall do in Edom according to my anger and according to my fury, and they shall know my vengeance, saith the Lord Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. I want to start off by giving all praise. All honor, and all glory to Allah Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, Hashem Rachakodash. I want to say double honors to the elders and to the apostles, the men that I learned this truth from. Peace and salutations to the Akim, across the four corners of the earth, pushing the truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Aqua out there listening and learning. Lord, willingly this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, to whom subscribe to this truth. To you, I say Shalom. It's Brother Yahusap coming at you another lesson through the Spirit, through the power of Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai. Yahweh meaning He is, He exists, or He to be. By Hashem, by His in, His Hashem in name. Yahushai meaning He saves, or He delivers. True names of the Most High God and the Son. People ignorantly call God Jesus Christ, whose true name in Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai. Pretty much this lesson is pretty much inspired by a lesson that a particular elder did. You know, try not to call out names. But at the end of the day, the elder, you know, he's in one of the southern states. He did a lesson going into how it was, I guess this is like an old incident where this Edomite appearing woman, because the beloved elder made a video, you had to really rethink it. Sometimes we don't fully think about things we do or say. I know, speaking to myself first and foremost, you know, that's why it's a hell of a thing to be still sharp-minded. You know, that's show you the love and care that the elder has, or the Most High God has for our elders. You know, individuals in the family that I come from, you know, we had a curse upon our family. You know, I had a grandmother, well, not just my grandmother, a lot of individuals get basically diagnosed with, you know, Alzheimer's, you know, which, you know, I'm sure is, you know, herbal remedies or whatnot, but, you know, Jake don't know, Jake didn't know, but anyhow, you know, long story short, just to be still have that wit about you, you know what I mean? Because, you know, I didn't think about it till the elder said it. You know, you get emotional because you see things in appearance. And, you know, at the end of the day, like the brother did the video, he said Hulk Hogan could very well be an Israelite. Well, you know, I remember when Jake was sitting up there talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger being an Israelite. And then you got to think about the scriptures. Jake is the former of all things, you know, some of the accolades of Arnold Schwarzenegger. I just was stuck on the aspect of when he was doing that Nazi salute. You got to understand, this motherfucker did a Nazi salute in front of the world and made it a famous bodybuilding pose. Can't make the shit up. And if you never paid attention to that, go re-look at it again. You clearly see you doing a Nazi salute. So anyhow, Salakia, you know me, I be scatterbrained. Long as the Lord don't take the spirit. That's the spirit. Inside joke. Anyhow, but yeah, you know, long as it's edification, and you know what I mean. But you know, we got to be more concise and straight to the point. I'm just speaking about myself because things getting tight. You know, the Lord about to run a tight ship. Get your shit in order before the Lord get you in order. That's all I can say. I'm speaking to myself first and foremost. But anyhow, I was thinking about the video, and I know the elder said make a response to what you think about it. I noticed a couple elders made videos recently saying that, and it was the spirit because I had came across a video by Godfrey, and I was debating on doing a lesson on it, and then when the elder put that video up, that was kind of like my confirmation of doing a lesson on it, and I forget to hit that lesson name, but do not disturb. Anyhow, in my phone, I need to buy another one. So, like I said, I got to go through a lot just to do a video for real. But, with all the complaining, the Lord ain't really trying to hear no complaining at all for real. But, at the same time, I ain't even going to speak on that. The elder did a lesson, and, I'm not trying to go against anything that the beloved elder said, you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, I listen to what he has to say. He doesn't have to listen to anything I have to say. He's tried and battle tested. I'm still trying to see if I can hold on. You know what I mean? Lord willingly, I do remain. But because he was like the elder had a certain take on it, which you got to learn to look at it from different aspects because the Most High is the judge. He could have did multiple things. It could have been an Edomite woman, or it could have been, the Lord was put a spirit on that woman to pretty much try to pass judgment on, the members of the IUIC. My take on it is because I came across this other video is that it's just we living in that time of, the scriptures talk about Revelation chapter 12 and 12, now the devil coming down with great wrath. Esau, Edom, that Lord is actually like putting that fire under the nation of Esau in order to bring forth Jacob's trouble. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, let me get this. This is the book of this all started from in the womb. This is the book of Genesis chapter 25. And by the way, I'm backing off of the elder's video, the first video I saw. And then I seen the beloved elder apostles video. Well, I didn't see it. I was listening to it late this morning. And, so I'm going to probably be bringing out a lot of the lesson, Salaki, a lot of the scriptures that the beloved elder brought out in his lesson. So because it's like a lamb back, but it's, my point of view on a totally different video, but it's the same premise. It's a natural hatred between Jacob and Esau, and that's from the womb. It's the book of Genesis chapter 25, and I'm gonna start at verse 21, and it reads, "And Isaac entreated," which Isaac was the son of both. Salaki, Isaac was both the father of Jacob and Esau, or Esau and Jacob. Because Esau came out first. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahshua was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her, and she said, "If it be so, why am I thus?" And she went to inquire of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahshua. And verse 23, "And the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahshua said unto her, Two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elders shall serve the younger." So, although she had twins, which I forgot, I think it was the elder. One of the brothers brought out the fact that they said when you go into the DNA, Esau, Edom is more closely related to you than, Hamitic people. They always talk about how we Africans, but, again, you can't, I never really related to Africans. I grew up around Africans too. Not grew up around them like, but, like it was a particular African that grew up in our neighborhood that literally, you could tell he was Jake. That was Jake. But, most Africans don't fuck with, Judah. You know what I mean? They look at you, they look down upon you. But he didn't, you know what I mean? And at the same time, like he had a name for himself and, just some streetwise type shit. But long story short, You know, I remember he was a Jake I grew up around. He was always trying to get at his sister, and his sister was like a little pudgy, fat little chick. But now she got money. You know what I mean? Like they corner store that we used to go to as a child now is her beauty salon that she sell hair out of. So she probably got money. But I'll never forget that. Jake was always trying to get her. And then my peoples told me, you know, later on who this dude was. And he was always speak to me because me and my brother favored, but I didn't know who the fuck the dude was. You know, my brother ended up telling me like, no, that's that dude. You know what I mean? So, but long story short, um, you got more in common with Esau Edom as far as they said genetic wise and blood. You know, as opposed to the Africans. So it's gonna always be enmity between Jacob and Esau. What's that in the book of Genesis chapter 3? It talks about he's gonna put enmity between the serpent and between Esau. And I'm gonna get that word enmity. The word enmity is the state or feeling of being actively opposed or hostile to someone or something. So it'll never be peace between, so-called black man, or the people of so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, Seminole Indians, West Indians, and Haitians. You know what I mean? It'll never be peace. Just like America's never gonna be made back great. You'll have these Edomites. They just so funny, and that's another divide and conquer strategy. You'll have Ephraim or the so-called Puerto Ricans that because they might not be as dark as Judah, or you got Gad that can be dark. You got Ephraim that can be dark. You got Ishashkar that can be dark. But at the same time, they usually more fair skinned, and they'll, say for instance, Ephraim. I remember when I was locked up one time, they was talking about how I was locked up with a Mexican, and pretty much, no, he was Puerto Rican, Salaki. I was locked up with a Puerto Rican, and basically, I used to think because they both speak in Spanish. But come to find out, show you the divide and division and the conquering. Ephraimite told me how Ephraimites and or Mexicans, Ishashkar or Issacharites don't get along. It's enmity between them, and that's all thanks to the devil. The island of Hispaniola. Where you got the two nations. You got. You got the tribe of Levi or Levi, Salaki, or Levite, the Haitians, basically divided against the Dominicans. And that's all, it's an imaginary line, but yet still because of the complexion thing, and it's funny, then they got the nerve to say somebody racist. These motherfuckers come up with this shit. Like the elder was saying, this was clearly a hate crime, but they want to say we got to look more into it to find out if it is. Man, these people gonna learn, man. Like what I said, we gonna learn it. You gonna learn today. I'm gonna learn you. The Lord gonna learn this motherfucker Esau for real. Like the elder said, the scriptures talk about meditating terrors upon you. They just, again, the thing is, the things that we do is not going to be done in wickedness. The things that this devil did, they did in wickedness. And that was probably, a way for the Lord to literally allow this devil to heap hot coals upon himself. Because, this man had the scriptures. So you knew what was lawful to do and what not to do. Why do you think they was doing the hangings and stuff? You know what I mean? Like strange fruit. Why do you think they was doing that? But then they went overboard because of the wickedness of these fucking devils. And they was leaving you on the trees to hang overnight and all that. Hangings is in the scriptures. Salakia though. So it'll never be, Esau, Edom, and Jacob, as well as the other tribes getting along, because it wasn't set up that way through the spirit. Somebody on the planet has to be the wicked, and prophecy got to be fulfilled. So I'm gonna say fair use. not profiting off of this, but I'm about to line up some scriptures with something that Godfrey did. So fair use, you know, Copyright Act. I'm not about to profit off of this. I'm just about to line up what he's saying in this video with what's going on through the spirit and what's happening in the world, because occurrences of Karens and, you know, these hate crimes is about to actually intensify. You know, come on, shit. You got individuals, you got Jacob being found hanging. You know what I mean? Incidents that they found Jacob hanging in different cities. That's showing you just because they got catching these little Karen moments. But no, that's spiritual. So fair use.
People are getting tired of this. We're getting tired of getting bullied. Meanwhile, back at racism headquarters, I love this video of this white woman, this Karen, complaining about these black kids that are on a porch.
Ow, go in the crib.
Go in the crib.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Go in the crib.
Go in my crib.
Go in the crib.
You don't even pay for this.
They're like, yo, go to your crib. Go to your crib. Go back to your house. This is where we live. She's like,
This is my estate.
Go in the crib.
this is my estate. Your estate. Get out of here. What is it with white folks just mad that black people live anywhere? If we have an address, you're pissed the fuck off. We have to live somewhere. We're not just magical that you call up when you need sports or entertainment or sex. Yeah, we're not these ta-da Negroes. We have every right to live in places. Where the fuck do you think we're supposed to live? You come to a lot of these black neighborhoods, Latin neighborhoods, and gentrify them and look at them, look at the people that were there like they don't belong there. That's just been your history of taking people and acting like they don't belong there. Fuck you, seriously. And this lady is ridiculous. She's going, what are you doing? What are you smoking weed? Really? She threw in the drug part. White folks, you smoke, inject more drugs than anybody on the fucking planet. Most of my white friends always looking for drugs. Always cocaine, meth, with sniffing bottles in their nose, putting shit up their ass. What the fuck are you talking about? What are you on Section 8? Yeah, we're more white people on welfare and all kinds of shit and public assistance. As you can tell, all these MAGA people that are getting fucked in the they're making videos like, I don't have my Medicare, where are my food stamps? Fuck out of here. And then she proceeds to come on the porch to fucking hit the kids and their minors.
What? Fuck it.
Touch me. Touch me. What the fuck is you talking about?
She got knocked the fuck out. It was beautiful. And I do not condone hitting women at all. But fuck her. She ain't no woman. She's a fucking animal. And the husband came, dragged her off. The husband didn't want that smoke. You know, we got a lot of these black kids that we say are rowdy and disrespectful. Now, that's the kind of energy I want to see in those young soldiers. Not fighting each other. Not that black on black shit, that fighting each other shit. Nah, we need to use it for that racist shit. When they come and attack us, that's what we need, young soldiers. And then they got arrested. The husband and wife got arrested because the dude wasn't trying to fight. My man said, let's go, because they was about to fuck his ass up too. I loved it. I enjoyed it because she came and she struck them first. And watch some of you white folks, if you guys see this video, you will literally make an excuse for that bullshit. Watch that. Just because I'm happy that she got knocked the fuck out. That's what should be happening. Because the police can't come to every fight. You got it fucked up. People are tired. I give kudos to those brothers. I hope you see this video. Good job. Save that energy for shit like that. People are getting tired of this shit. We're getting tired of getting bullied. Meanwhile, back...
I'm not gonna replay it again. You know, again, YouTube switches up. They play a rigged game. You know what I'm talking about. But anyhow, that being said, there was a statement I was about to make, and I completely forgot. Just had a whole brain fart. But as you can see, judgment. At the end of the day, and he made the statement about young soldiers because at the end of the day, yeah, you're gonna have the Lord put spirit on, just like the Lord put a spirit, because I agree with the elder on that. The Lord put a spirit on her to do that shit. Come on. And the Lord tested them, although nothing happened, you know what I mean? Some equipment got damaged, but you can always replace equipment. Remember they, the millionaire Israelites, those are the ones that they believe because the Lord put them in a position where they getting all this Edomite dollars, you know what I mean? Because of how they set up their system, you know what I mean? How they, I ain't gonna say in league with Esau, that show you right there, you know what I mean? You had an Edomite try to attack you. But the Lord could have made that, but that was, like the elder said, basically a warning, for real. Because the Lord can do something, we're not exempt, although we men of the Lord, the Lord take men that he deal with through shit all the time. But ultimately, usually, I mean, if the Lord is preserving you and using you, it'll be like Daniel in the lion's den. But you're gonna have men of the Lord that's gonna have to do, and take on what Yahweh Shah, Hamashiach, our big brother took on. So you know what I mean? At the end of the day, ultimately, the Lord, if he's dealing with you, you're gonna be protected. Hell, he protected Satan. You know what I mean? Cain and the mark, That's why, if you try to rise up physically against this devil and it's not the Lord's will, yeah, the Lord gonna put you down harshly, you know what I mean? Because the Lord is using this man for his purpose. But I took it, like I said again, because like I said, the video that I came across, I was like, well, damn, I'm gonna do a video on it. But then I get sidetracked. I'd be dealing with so much shit. And sometimes I might do a lesson on everything I plan to do. And then a lot of times I'll see the lesson I was supposed to do, another brother bring out. That's why I truly believe, like the Lord said, if you a man of the Lord, he put something on your spirit to do it. But if you don't do it, he'll have somebody else do it. That's how you know that we're expendable. But then, like I say, when I seen the lesson that the elder did, and I think he said that's an old account. And to show you none of us exempt, I remember the elder saying this. He said it was a situation, that's an old incident between IUIC. That's why, I guess it happened. And then they're just recently she's just recently getting sentenced. And then I think he said just recently something took place between ISUPK, another Israelite group. And then he made mention even of, the elders. Well, it wasn't the elders, but that particular elder that did the video, he said that they was in PA or something, and pretty much, which is spiritual because the brother had that dream in PA. But he said, and pretty much they tried to. He said Santa Claus. He said a motherfucker dressed up in Santa Claus tried to run them over or something like that. And when he said Santa, it made me think of Satan, because when you go into Santa and Satan is, that's an acronym. Satan and Santa are, has the same amount of letters. And then he wears red. You know what I mean? He deals with the elves. When you look at the elves are spiritual creatures because they like demons. You know what I mean? I remember that picture that they took of Biden, and they had him lined up right in front of like the seal of America. And when they took the picture, it looked like his ears was like elf ears. And it was right, I think it was like when he was about to get in office, his last term, beginning of his last term. I had a picture of it. I might still got it, but I take pictures, I'm a little less organized with stuff. I got a heavy load, you know what I'm about? I'll be talking and the train go by. But anyhow, enough about me, because this ain't about me. This is about information, like the elder said. Sometimes I get caught up speaking, not, That's why I said I want to get more just straight to the point, the Mike Tyson punches. Bah. But my 7-minute video won't be entertaining. Well, then again, though, it's like I said, I can just bring out information now. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing the Lord used to give me. I come across some shit. Like, hi. Did it all my life. Just like I'm grateful, call Loyam like Yahweh Shem Yahshua, that the Lord allowed me to be able to get this truth. The Lord just so happened to let me come upon it. You know what I mean? Because I was listening to the beloved brother from the West, and he was just like, these people about to lose it. And he just sat back and was watching videos, and he just sat back and was like, Tuwadi Yahweh Shem Yahshua. And if nothing else, even if I'm not the chosen, I pray that I'm of the elect. But at the same time, just if you can, because I can imagine myself, I'm a baby in the truth, but I can imagine myself 10 years from so like 10 years ago, and the world being in the state it is, and you don't have no understanding of what the fuck going on. Oh my God, do you know? You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll be bugged out in a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, I'm talking about like literally, like the Lord has blessed us to be able to see and understand. Okay, boom. That's why you ain't completely lost your shit. You understand, yeah, you may have to suffer. You understand you're going through this. You understand why this thing must take place. You understand that a lot of motherfuckers got to die. I understand that fully. I understand if I'm not right, I very well might die. I also look at it like this. I could be right, and it might be the will of the Lord that I, to show. Because you got to understand, you're going to have to be proving yourself and going through these trials and tribulations all the way to the end. Like the one elder brother from down south said, he said, ain't nobody's electric sliding, boogalooing, ain't doing no two-stepping, none of that, the sea walking into no chariot. You about to earn this, you know what I'm saying? What did he say on Saving Private Ryan? He looked at all the people that died. No, that was Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks told Private Ryan, he said, earn this, man. You know what I mean? People, because basically the mission was, if I hate to be a spoiler alert if you ain't never seen it, but if you ain't never seen Saving Private Ryan, you going to fuck off. You know how great of a movie that is? I know a brother that don't watch movies, but he said he seen that beginning part, and he was like, damn, that's a good ass fucking movie. But the point is, they were supposed to be able to go home. They went to go save this nigga. This nigga trying to be super Edomite. Oh, I'm going to, you know what I mean? Which you can't say. He probably was traumatized and all that shit, because that's based on a true story. That's why you have, pretty much, if you're the only son, you are exempt from war. A lot of men are not about to be exempt from the war to come. And you know a war coming because the brother did a video on that. He said they got an incentive. They basically give the bonus, $75,000 sign-up bonus to the elderly. So they just like, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, and I said that too, that like, literally, it's the will of the Lord. You know, these motherfuckers keep printing money into infinity. We know we don't have to infinity. You know, the devil know that, you know, his time is short. That's why they come out with great wrath. These motherfuckers literally about to, and if you can't see this, I mean, that's what amazes me about Jake, man. Like Jake, I know niggas that is always watching their surroundings, but you can't spiritually, you know, what's that in Matthew chapter 16? You can discern the times and the seasons, but you can't, they say you can look and see it's about to rain, or it's about to, the weather's lowering, or the sky is lowering, but you cannot discern the times and the seasons. Spiritually, you can't see what the fuck going on. Well, it's meant for you not to see it then. So again, yeah, the Lord is rousing up these spirits because it's about to be the time of Jacob's trouble, which, like the elder said, which basically tells everybody's trouble. Because ultimately, this devil is against his own people. He, again, I'm talking about the greed. Them motherfuckers don't want to give. So like them mofos don't want to give up their power. And I can believe, like the elder said, they shaking in their boots because so much give me. Think about this. I've had people look at me weird. Have you ever, like, motherfuckers sitting up there trying to do something cleverly or lying, and then when you bring out, nigga, I know you lying, or what you thought was your clever ass plan. I used to see, Jake so fucked up. I used to tell certain niggas, like, you got this master plan, but your master plan involves using me to help you bring to fruition what you try to do. How the fuck how do that sound? Nigga, you so cold, you should be able to do it on your, you know what I'm saying? But anyhow, like, to be able to tell you, like, y'all plan on doing this, like they did all these things in the dark. These scriptures talk about that, and then it's being exposed, and we don't have any resources. We lowly on the planet, but yet still we out here. They shaking in their boots, man. Like the great shaking, the Lord shaking everything up, like shaking the hand through the men of the Lord on this place. Cursing this place the fuck out. You know what I mean? Which is deserved. You ever cussed out a bitch. You know what I'm saying? You dirty bitch. You know what I'm saying? And my mind always thinks back to that when you think about Babylon the Great, because it's likened onto a scarlet colored woman. No, that's scarlet colored beast. Salakia for that. Slip of the tongue, but under the heart. But the whore that rideth upon the scarlet colored beast. I was looking at that whore, because although she may be appealing, you're a whore. I remember when the elder sit up there was talking about he said liking a woman's box or korbah to a garbage can with like, you ever had a garbage can that you don't clean out, that you might have had liquids in, and all that stagnant liquid congeal together, and that it's repugnant. You know what I mean? I don't use no words at all. Anyhow, it was just popping up. But anyway, long story short, like that, and I got imagination. So, when he said, I said, ugh, you know what I mean? Because that's it. It's like, you nasty bitch. Only in Babylon the Great, a woman could be, and I'm still old enough to have been, around where you had, I remember one female I was walking down the street with, and a female that knew me just literally shaking her head at the female. She can't really speak to her because she don't know her. But if that had been a female I knew, that's it. Like, I grew up around that age where you had neighbors that watched, because it takes a village to raise a child properly. Nowadays, these people don't have nothing. Nobody sits back and, holds anybody accountable. The child can be just doing any fucking thing. You've always had, certain people that was just going to be destined to, that's what, like, you had gangs formed and whatnot. You got some men that just was talented, literally was good with their hands because the Lord put that spirit on them. Just like people are good with music and whatnot, you know what I mean? Or mechanically inclined. Or some individuals that just happen to know stuff, you know what I mean? Or speak before. All different levels of gifts, you know what I mean? And the utmost, or the toppest, or the one to be most coveted is the one that's prophesied. And we watching a lot of men, a lot of prophets, I believe, prophesy the downfall of this place. So again, just my spiritual take, and my opinion ain't shit. Speaking as a man, it could be. I can see it from both of those elders' perspective. Especially the beloved, the elder apostle of her heart. But because the elder said do a response. What do you think? My thing is, I just think, the Lord about to we near. Scriptures talk about in the book of 1 Peter chapter 4, the end is nigh, meaning near. Anything could jump this thing off, and they trying to do it carnally, so they trying to dot all their I's and cross all their T's, but it'll never be like that. You know what I mean? Because it's not in their control. It's the control of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. When this thing jumps off, and when this thing, how this thing plays out. So, it's the book of Ezekiel chapter 35, and I'm going to start at verse 1, and it reads, Moreover, the word of the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushua came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it. And that's a commandment. So, a lot of times the brothers will come out and they'll pretty much expose and bring out the wickedness of Esau, Edom. The things that make them shamefaced. Because, it's funny, you'll have every once in a while, the Lord will put that pride on Esau, Edom. You got them devils talking about they don't feel bad about their heritage. But for the most part, they do. They rather you just not speak on it like DJ Trump and that Epstein file. He not ashamed of what he did. He just don't want you to be able to say nothing about it. Verse 3, and say unto it, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushua power. And about that situation, Trump doesn't drink or smoke. He like 50 Cent. Like a lot of people don't know, 50 Cent doesn't drink or smoke. So they are certain, like 50 Cent is into fasting, and he practices what's that shit called? Semen retention. He had like cause I think 50 one of the ones that got like multiple women, but he got a bad chick. And like I read that it was like he pretty much, like it's a powerful man. That man ain't like, but that's a spirit on him. Like the Lord created him. I remember Irv Gotti was saying that he was like, he was gonna try and make a movie about Satan tempting people through the music, and he went back to that wise tale about how Lucifer was, pretty much the master of instruments in heaven, and he was lining it up with hip hop and whatnot, but he was basically equating 50 Cent to like the devil pretty much blessing him. You know what I mean? Which Irv Gotti, from not knowing the scriptures, you know what I mean? Like, and Irv Gotti is dead. And you show the wickedness of 50, what'd he do? He smoked on Gotti pack. Because that is his particular spirit that the Lord dealing with. But the Lord, you know what I mean? Like 50 Cent is one of the most pettiest individuals in the all that. Look at where you basically the height that you reached from coming from the lowliest of places. He's a straight street nigga, but he passes shoulders and bumps shoulders with like very powerful people. Yeah, Satan was involved with it. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure, like I said, they tell you he got a lot to do with, what's going on in Louisiana. I think he owned part of that football team. So you really think he gonna be for the benefit of you, so-called blacks and Hispanics and Native Americans, you Israelites? No. In his mind, like I forgot who made the statement, but they were saying how, I think it was the beloved elder apostle. He was like, Michael Jordan likens himself onto as a black Edomite. He does more harm. He make more money off of Jake in prison than fucking some of them Edomites. So those are people fully invested in the system. Your Shaquille O'Neals. Now I can't say this. The Lord can use something wicked to do something righteous. Again, when you take time to imagine the type of money they got, like Shaquille O'Neal has a very, very large amount of money. Like I was reading how they said, he turned down a deal with Reebok because a mother was like, shit, people ain't gonna be able to afford these shoes. So he made a deal with like Walmart to make shoes that was like between $20 and $30. And he sold like 400 million pairs of them. All because he endorsed them. All showing you the power of a name. Verse 3, and say unto it, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. I will lay thy cities waste. And thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Verse 6, therefore as I live, saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, power I will pursue, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Sith thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. And it talks about that in what, Isaiah? They shall be like the chased roe. All the hands of the wicked shall come upon them. And all those, including 2/3 of the nation of Israel that's joined unto them, to your LeBrons, your Boosies, all these niggas that sold out. Boosie's so funny, and show you how bugged out he is. He'll sit up there and talk about Esau and then beat up there begging one of them, though. They say Boosie always begging, too. Because he not making money like he used to. Like, the rap game has pretty much changed since they've been doing them streaming, the streaming shit. You got individuals like Snoop Dogg and certain people that don't no longer have to rely on, the music industry to make their wealth. But I think Snoop said that shit. He said he did like so many millions of streams on like Apple Music or something like that. He was like, the check was like only like $40,000 or something. So that shit over with. That's something that pretty much the music industry, them Edomites cut Jake out of. And I think that's the reason why they did that to Corey Lane. Or so I said Corey. Tory Lanez. It was something, it was a video that was circulating. Tory was like, I broke the code, to the Matrix. And then shortly after, like, it got to do with Jay-Z. It's got to do with a lot of shit. Because Jay-Z pretty much, said fuck everybody else and cut everybody, just like, scriptures talk about there'll be found wicked men amongst my people, and that's the mindset of most Jakes. It's all about themselves. That was the whole reason why when Jay Prince and Suge Knight and all them was going to start their own distribution company, and somebody told, and they said it was Jay-Z, which I can believe. Now Jay-Z, and they gave him or gifted him the president or CEO of, Def Jam as his gift for selling out his people. Who's that, Jason? You got a lot of Jason ass niggas. Unsies. The elders say unsies. So they gonna get judged right along Esau, Edom. It's the book of Romans chapter 9. And verse, I probably ain't gonna bring out all this stuff because I still got 12 things to do. Romans 9 and verse, I'm going to start at verse 8, Salakia. Yahweh Brakathon. Romans 9 and 8. That is, they which are the children of the flesh, they are not the children of the Most High, but the children of the Most, Salakia, but the children of the promise are counted for the seed. Because, Jacob was given the promise, So-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, Seminole Indians, West Indians, and Haitians. For this is the word of promise. At this time will I come, and Sarah shall have a son. And not only this, but when Rebekah also had conceived by one, even by our father Isaac, for the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, with the purpose of the Most High, Salakia, that the purpose of the Most High, according to election, might stand not of works, but of him that calleth. Being chosen. You know, it tells you in the book of Sirach or Ecclesiasticus in chapter 33, it talks about the Most High created, or he set one against another. You know, scripture tell you, Isaiah chapter 45 verse 7, that the Most High God create good and evil. He create darkness and light, create good and evil. One against one. You know, scriptures talk about a false balance is abomination to the Lord. And I always use the analogy about a car battery. You got a negative force, or you got a positive force and a negative force. One against another. And most times things work like that. It's a universal law. So, you know, and I remember, I'll never forget when I was homeless, I used to have to go to this homeless shelter, but it was like Christian based. It was like God bless. And the crazy part is, sure, I understood how fake those churches was back then, because something got stolen. It was a book that got stolen in there, and the dude found it out. But basically, the guy that ran it, he didn't believe in the Bible. He believed in AA. When you go into those two guys that started that, I believe they Freemasons. That's why, you know, showing you how, yeah, it could, you know, like I've seen it work, you know, AA. People give up drinking, you know, you get to testifying, giving your testimony, you know. But that's a wicked ass organization, because it get into, you might give up the vice of drinking, but then you start doing some other shit. You know what I mean? You got some of the biggest whoremongers, they be all fucking each other. You know, they two AA members, they no longer drinking, but now them demons, it's just funny how the Lord do certain stuff. But they'll be in the same home group and they be fucking each other. Then they always gambling. If it's just you no longer drinking, you gambling now. It says, for the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of the Most High according to election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth him. So it's the will of the Lord if you are going to make it or not. You know, I was thinking about you got to meditate on that. Well, I do. You know what I mean? Like, as much as I gave up and put in for the truth, it don't even matter, because it's if you are elect or not. And that's why it's so important to be repentant, because the elect will have a repentant heart. And you ain't got to tell everybody that you repented and whatnot. But, you know, at the same time, again, your actions going to show. When I've met brothers that they last thing they want to do is offend a brother. You know what I mean? They last thing they want to do is, you know, disrespect the elder by, you know, because sometimes knowledge puff up. So, you know, you get to making this thing about what you think you know and what you got, when actually you wouldn't have shit if the Lord didn't, you know, basically order your steps. You know, I can literally say that. Like, I remember when I was homeless, that shit hurt like a motherfucker. That shit, you know, especially being homeless in a city that you know people. Like, I got a big ass family. You know what I mean? I used to see family members. You know what I mean? And it wasn't because, like I said, I was the nigga that was stole all the money that this nigga ain't shit. No, I had to run from my family. So when I used to see him, I used to hide from him. And now any play that you try to use from Esau, you know, ultimately showing you what's taking place now. Never trust thine enemy. Never trust the devil. The devil will be the type to give you some illegal substance and then come back and get you and arrest you on it. You know what I mean? Like, that's what the devil move, man. I mean, you got motherfuckers that's literally in the streets, have a name for themselves, working with Esau Edom. Then Esau Edom make them go sit down for a couple years, and then they get out and get that help again. Facts. That's like married to the mob type shit. And the thing is with this, Esau Edom, you know, the devil, that, you know what I mean? They not letting you walk up out of that shit. You know too much. Shit, that's like that Jake that created the gasoline from the plastic. Yeah, they did something to that man. The fact, he literally told you, he said, shit, some weird stuff happening. He paying attention to his surroundings. He said, just letting you know. you got to understand, man. Like, Salakia, it says, it was said to her, it was said unto her, the elder shall sell the younger, as it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. That's hate right in the scriptures. What shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with the Most High? The Most High forbid. No, because the Lord can do according to his pleasure. He the ultimate king. You know what I'm saying? So even though the king of Babylon is doing his will, which is ultimately the will of the Heavenly Father, it's not really DJ Trump's will. It's because the Lord already told you, I created the cruel Lord. You know, just like in Romans chapter 13, you know, it talks about the Lord created his sword, his minister, to bring judgment. Well, the Lord using the cruel Lord to bring judgment to 2/3 and bring forth prophecy. Like it. Verse 15, for he said to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, his elect, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion, his elect. Verse 16, so then it is not of him that willeth, nor of him that runneth, but of the Most High that showeth mercy. And that's why I made the statement, I'd rather fall in the hands of the living power. You know. And you know, again, that's how you show you how many demons out here. Shit, I mean, like I say, but again, when you go through something, you know, it's not supposed to, you know, it's supposed to harden you up. You know, you walking on some hard surface every day. You know, that was the whole point of training. Right now, we in spiritual training. You know, I looked at the title of a lesson. The brother was talking about how you move as a man. I don't want to butcher, but it was along the lines of like pretty much stops or alleviates a lot of bitch assness. The word is something roughly around that type of, you know, that type of way. You know, my daddy used to be going through shit and he'd do some shit like that I do. You know what I mean? Like I made a statement. He used to disappear with my sister car, but I can only imagine what was going on with our family, because my father was like a pillar of our family. You know what I mean? But I never once knew what was going on. Sometimes a man's supposed to, if a man's supposed to try to keep his composure, or a man's supposed to keep his composure in order for, you know, his family don't bug out. I remember when my daughter was dying when she was born. You know, I was keeping my shit together, but she was losing her shit, and that's why I went to jail within that pregnancy. You know, like I went and got, you know, a drink, you know what I mean? And then this jealous ass demon literally like got me kicked up out the hospital. And that's why, you know, I tried to like do something to this bitch. How you get me kicked out the hospital? Showing you the power to and now to show you how useless this motherfucker is. I got the children. You done did all these different things. And then you talking about forgive? Let the Lord forgive her. Fuck. I watch you really literally talk about like, no, they like I said again, a lot of these women's gonna really die, and they're gonna suffer before they die in horrifying ways. You know how they be talking about a man need to, you know, man, you know, I ain't even gonna go there. But you know, I mean, like literally, like they gonna grow to like it, like off the book of Eli. It was like what, 13 niggas there. She up there just they pawn. Can I come with you? He was like, hell no. Bitch, you got all the demons. You got Legion with you. I'm cool. All right. A nigga be up there trying to bring her. Yeah, come on. Give me that koba. Ah, shit. That's funny. This is the book of Amos, chapter 1 and verse 11. And it reads, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. And we read that in the NLT. This is what the Lord says. The people of Edom have sinned again and again, and I will not let them go unpunished. They chased down their relatives, the Israelites, with swords, showing them no mercy. In their rage, they slashed them continually and were unrelenting in their anger. Verse 12, so I will send down fire on Teman, and the fortresses of Basra will be destroyed, which Basra and Teman were capital cities of Esau Edom. And, everything, spiritually incarnates. I can't tell you the spiritual capitals of Esau Edom now. A lot of brothers, I think, like they was talking about the brother did a video on it too. I'm having a brain fart. Where's the seat where Satan dwells? I know brother did a video about it. And he was talking about because I know a brother did a video about it, and they went into the ancient land of where Esau Edom dwelled when Rome was in power. And then a brother did a video about where he believes that where Satan's seat is today. And I land back. Well, I ain't land back over there. I ain't doing no video on it, but I brought it out. And brother, because you don't want to buck up against what an elder's saying, but at the same time, you should question stuff, right? If it's spiritual, it's funny because the disciples always ask questions. They was always asking. But then it's an issue if you ask a fucking question. Anyhow, the brother did a video about Switzerland. And that's where Klaus Schwab resides. And then where it sits at, and it was in the scriptures, it's like on an elevated plane. And look at how Switzerland is. You know what I mean? I think Switzerland got that technology going, right? So, I mean, speaking as a man, I think the brothers was on to something, but, ultimately we'll find out in the kingdom, right? I have one last scripture. So because of this wickedness of Esau Edom, the Lord is going to judge him. And ultimately, that's when they're going to be put in chains. And after 1,000 years of hardcore bondage and slavery, they're going to be destroyed. They're going to be burnt up. This is the book of Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 18. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble. So the northern and southern kingdom are going to basically round these devils up after 1,000 years of servitude, and basically, like in the Game of Thrones, because I for whatever reason a lot of clips of Game of Thrones pop up in my algorithm, and when you watch Game of Thrones, a whole houses was getting pretty much demolished or destroyed in them battles. Can you imagine that? A whole house. So the whole nation of Esau Edom is going to be as stubble. And they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua has spoken it. Now, them are not our words. Thus written in the scriptures. Thus saith the Lord. So, the time or the end is nigh. Prepare your mind. Stay in the spirit. Constantly beg for, wisdom, knowledge, and spiritual understanding, and to be kept in His truth. Pray that the Lord don't take His spirit away from you, because, we seeing it firsthand. How, in my opinion, yeah, He took the spirit from you, but at the same time, how did He really have the spirit? Yeah, to a degree. Now He talking about He don't even believe you the gorilla Hebrew. How the fuck you ain't believing you an Israelite no more? Or you just a Hebrew still? Like, yeah, this thing is not to be trifled with. So if you go so-called black, because everything is increasing. You notice how many like major news reports of incidents, and they using Jake as the face of it, painting him as the face of T. So if you're so-called black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, West Indian, and Haitian, while you got the time to make your adjustments, to get right, prepare thy house, you might you should take advantage of the time while we still got time, because time is short. The end is nigh. So with that, I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to call Elohim Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Ba'ashem Hakodash. Double honors to the elders and to the apostles that taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so, now more so than ever. So shalom to the Akim and the Aqua that they're listening and learning. Lord willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but whom subscribe to this truth. To you I say shalom. Till next time, Lord willingly, shalom, shalom. Say Kwam Yasharallah. Pray that the hopeful elect repent and lock in. Lord willing, this is edifying. Until next time, Lord willingly, shalom, shalom. Kwam Yasharallah. Walk Lababal.